hanging in there. I'm sorry it's taken so long. I think we've lost a few viewers. Oh no, you're coming back. That's great. All right, awesome. So thanks for coming to White City Place Connect. It's a really good time to connect online. And yeah, just really trying to lessen the anxiety that we are faced at the moment. And meditation is a great way to allow that to happen. So I wanted you to just cover a couple of questions that do come up quite a lot. And those questions are, is it okay to have thoughts when we're meditating? And of course, I'll take you through the whole process of how to access that easily. But yeah, absolutely, our brains are designed to think. And so don't worry about having thoughts, but the difference is that when we're meditating, we try not to get attached to the thought. And this is a scientific, there's a scientific reason that meditation works. And the reason, without getting too involved, is that when we have a thought, generally in general life, it passes through various parts of your brain. So it starts at the brainstem, and that's at the bottom of your neck. And it goes all the way through your skull to your prefrontal cortex, this bit in the front. And that's your planning, it's your way of organizing things, it's your rational mind. But it also, when you have a thought in regular daily life, and whether it's a thought or you're seeing something, you could be watching a movie, whatever causes a reaction, it passes through a thing called the amygdala. And that's a part of your brain that's kind of about here, above your ears on both sides. And through meditation, we manage to bypass the amygdala. And so we come through to the rational mind without being waylaid with the emotions of the emotional center in our brain. So that's a very, very kind of small snapshot of what happens in your brain, but it's a science. And I wanted to start with that because I think there are some lofty ideas that meditation is something that you can't attain. It's something that's, out there. And I didn't want that to be the lesson here, because everybody can meditate. And then other questions that I've had as well are things like, I've tried meditating and, I've tried the breathing and, I still have a monkey mind and all of that. And that's very, very normal as well. And there's two ways of thinking about that. And one is that the breathing slows down the mind, absolutely. But if you're finding that you're struggling with that, it's probably because we breathe all the time without even thinking about it. So when you're used to doing something all the time, what happens is you might start thinking about the breath for a moment or two, and then your mind goes back into the monkey mind. And it's really hard to kind of control it. And so you go into this spiral of, oh my God, I can't do it. It's not working. I can't meditate. And then cause this as a bigger issue. So we're going to talk about various ways to work with your breath so that you don't get bored thinking about your breath, so therefore your mind doesn't tend to go off on a tangent. And the other thing is that repetition is key. So when we do something, it's a little bit like going to the gym. So it's the gym for your mind, pretty much. So when we work with meditation and we practice regularly, and we well, you might even sit in the same spot every day. You don't have to do that. There's no exact time that you should meditate. But if you repeat something often enough, then it will become second nature. So if you are struggling with it, then just doing it again and again and again, regardless of the monkey mind, just allow that to happen. Just know that it's happening. Over time, your brain will get the message. And the other thing as well with that is that when you have a monkey mind, it's just your brain is processing everything that's going on in your life. And there's also a part of us that wants to hold on to certain thoughts. There's a fear that we might forget something that we have to remember, you know, whether it's, did I leave the oven on, or, you know, should I take that thing out of the fridge to defrost, or am I going to be able to do this thing tonight? We forget that, of course, if it's important enough, then that thought will be there when we finish our meditation. So yeah, I wanted to blow away some of the myths. You know, you don't have to be religious or particularly spiritual. It is a practice. It is all scientifically backed, and I think when you know that, it can really help to create at least the belief, the understanding that you can meditate. We can all do it. So it just takes repetition. Remember, your mind is like a muscle. Going to the gym, and also think about your brain as a small child. You are in control. You are telling your brain what it needs to do. It's not the other way around. All right. And one more thing before we start, which is really, really important. This is the big, big key to meditation. And the big, big key is that your breath follows your mind, and your mind follows your breath. So just let that sink in for a little bit. Your breath follows your mind, and your mind follows your breath. So what that means is that if you are anxious, stressed, your heart might start beating faster. You might even just be running for a bus. It doesn't matter what that is, but your mind starts working quicker as well. It starts worrying as well. And the opposite is also true. So when you're doing something calm, whether you're looking at the sky, you're looking at the sunset, you're meditating, your breath slows down. So when you know that the two work together, you can then start to control the mind through the breath. So by slowing down the breath, you're going to slow down your mind. So just let that sink in for a moment before we start. All right. Okay, I'm going to go and close this door behind me. Get yourself comfortable. Find a really nice, comfortable seated position that we're going to be in for. What time are we on now? 45. So yeah, a good 25 minutes. So just find that space where you're comfortable. You don't have to be sitting upright. You don't have to be sitting cross-legged. You can be sitting on a chair. You can be sitting on your sofa. All right. So I'm just going to lock this door. Okay, so I'm sitting on a chair, if that makes you feel any better, but I'm not sitting on the floor. And just take a moment to kind of arrive. Another quite nice thing to do is that if you are going to get into meditation on a regular basis, which I hope you'll have the tools today to take away and maybe do your own meditation. There'll be another one next week with some other tools that we can use. But if you are going to do that, a really nice way to start is if you've had a bit of movement. So quite often if you move the body, you're in a much better place to sit and meditate. So that's something that I try and do. I often do it after my yoga class, actually, when your body is really nice and supple and you're able to kind of sit a little bit more comfortably. So that's quite important. And yeah, just remember that thing, the breath follows the mind and the mind follows the breath. Okay, so slowing down the breath is going to slow down your mind. All right, so we're going to start, and as this is an interesting time in our lives right now, globally, I'm going to start off with a wave breathing, which is really good for anxiety. Okay, so just close your eyes, get nice and comfortable, find a comfy seat, allow yourself to feel. So feel your breath, soften. Just take a moment to notice how you are breathing. How am I breathing? What does my body feel like? Does it feel relaxed? Let's take a moment here. We all have unique set of circumstances. We all have different things going on in our lives. So this is for you to really get into your own life, your own space. So just letting the breath just take you. Okay, so with your eyes closed, just start to notice your breath without changing anything. So when you start to notice your breath, quite often we'll try and change it. We'll try and breathe. We try and start breathing. No need to do that. Just notice what it's doing. It's being observant. Are those breaths short? Are they long? Are they deep? Are they shallow? None of it matters. Doesn't matter what they are. You're just noticing. Just observing. And although I'm on the screen, don't feel like you have to open your eyes to see what I'm doing, because I'm just sitting here with you anyway, and I'm going to be talking you through it. So that's another thing when you start meditating. Quite often you'll be unaware of time, which is lovely. But also you might think, oh, have I been here long enough? Maybe I've got a meeting in half an hour, I might miss it. Don't worry about that today, because I'm going to be talking you through everything, and I'll be here even though you can't always hear me, because I'm going to be giving you pauses between your breaths. So just know that I'm here, and I'll still be telling you, kind of guiding you, not telling you, guiding you what to do. So just wanted to put that out there. All right. So just take 2 more breaths in and out. Now on your next exhale, let it all out. Push out all of your breath. And then when you're ready, inhale deeply through your nose. Fill yourself up. Feel the belly filling up, your chest filling up, your head, the whole thing. And then just let it go softly. We're going to repeat that again. Inhaling. Fill yourself up. Let it go. 2 more like that in your own time. I'll wait a little bit after the last one in case we're out of time with each other. You do it in your time. Now just breathe normally for a moment. It's not changing. Just normal breath. And just see if you can soften a little bit more in your body. as you're taking these normal breaths. See if you've got any muscles that you might be hanging on to. It might be a little muscle in your big toe, or it could be a much bigger muscle, maybe your shoulder, maybe in your neck. Make sure you're not jutting your chin up too high. Just keep that tucked in a little bit so the back of the neck's nice and long. Just breathing here. Now this is where some random thoughts might start coming in. Don't worry about that, but just remember that we can bypass the emotional center by not getting attached to those thoughts. Just kind of see them and go, okay, swipe left. And then just ease yourself back to the breath. So you're just reminding yourself each time to come back to your breath. In breath and the out breath. Remember any random thoughts, come back to your breath. And now we're going to give our breath something to do. So I want you to balance the length of the in and the out breath. So we're going to breathe in, and I want you to count a number. Now that's going to be different for you than it is for me, because we all breathe at different rates. So breathe in for a count. Maybe it's 5, maybe it's 6, whatever that might be. Breathe in. Then when you get to the top of the breath, just pause, just for one breath, maybe. Sorry, one beat, not a breath. And then let it go back out again, but the same number. We're going to keep to the same number, the in and the out. And I have a little pause at the bottom. So in other words, if you're breathing in for 5, pause for 1, breathe out for 5, pause for 1. I'm just going to do that for a few rounds. So I don't need to talk you through that now. You just go for that. So starting whenever you're ready, you're going to inhale for a count. You're going to hold the breath at the top of that count. And you're going to let the breath go for the same count, keeping everything balanced. When you get to the bottom of that breath, you hold it for a beat, and then you start again. So a few rounds like that in your own time. Now in your next few rounds, we're going to continue the same ratio, but what we're going to do now is we're going to expand the breaths even more. So make them fuller, like so that you can feel the sides of the torso expanding. So just keeping going with what we're doing, but just expanding the sides of the torso. And noticing the back of the body when you breathe in, and the front of the body. Feeling the rib cage coming away from the spine on the inhale, and back, releasing on the exhale. Still keeping to the same rounds, same ratio. Just 2 more rounds here. And at the end of that last round, I want you now to take your left hand, just resting it on your belly, so that you can feel the in-breath coming in to the hand, and on the out-breath, the release. And so take your right hand just on your heart center, just on your chest there. Feeling the belly inflate on the inhale, letting go on the exhale, releasing. There's a chance you might be able to feel your heartbeat with the right hand. Please don't worry if you don't. This is only a suggestion, because what we're going to do now is we're going to extend the exhale. So we were keeping everything in an even ratio with the breath before, but this time if you breathed in for 5, that's just a number, it could have been 3, it could have been 7. You're going to breathe out for a longer number. So if I breathe in for 5, I'm going to try and breathe out for maybe 8. And if your hand can feel your heart, you can use the heartbeats as counts, just to kind of keep you in the right count. But please don't worry if you don't feel your heartbeat. You can do it perfectly without. So just starting that. So inhaling on a count, and the exhale longer. Slowing down the breath. Any random thoughts that come into your mind, just go back to how that's feeling. The lower belly expanding, lengthening the out breath. Now we're going to release our hands and just drop them onto the top of your thighs or your knees, wherever you are, however you're sitting. Just let the palms face up. And just notice your breath now. Just not trying to breathe any particular way. Just allowing yourself to breathe naturally, not changing anything. And keeping with the breath in different ways. So it might be just noticing the breath coming in and out of your nostrils. That little rush of air that comes in and out. It might be just feeling your feet on the floor, if they are. It might be a tingling in your hands. That can happen sometimes. It might just be the rise of the chest on the inhale. It might even be feeling the belly even though you don't have your hands there. Noticing every in-breath and every out. Feeling the whole body working together. So that breath coming in, the belly expanding, the breath leaving, the release, how that whole body softens. So starting to notice that, how the body softens on every out-breath. See if you can make that even more so, by softening even more. Remember that every time a random thought comes into your mind, you just go back to how the body's feeling, how you're breathing. It doesn't matter how many times you need to repeat the same thing, going back. Really doesn't matter. All you're trying to do is expand the space between your thoughts. Expand the space between your thoughts. Coming back to the breath. Now I want you to imagine that every cell in your body is just softening, like they're made of jelly. Imagine every cell softening itself, knowing that your body is made up of trillions of cells. Imagine how your body would feel, how soft your body would feel. So just bring in that softness with the breath. in that awareness. Every time a thought comes in, go back to the breath. Back to the softness. And then just noticing if your breathing has changed at all. It may well have got a little bit softer, quieter. It might have got a little bit more shallow. Just finding that stillness. Yeah, and then just keeping that nice sense of calm. I want you to start breathing consciously now. So what that means is you're going to start deepening your inhalation. So it becomes a wakeful breath. But I want you to try and keep this sense of calm, this sense of stillness as you take those in breaths. You can keep the out breath so soft. Just taking a nice deep inhale. And softening on the exhale. And again. Starting to wake up the physical body. Gently opening your eyes. Bringing yourself back into the room. Just take a moment to allow yourself to come back into the room. You don't want to kind of get up and run around. Just kind of allow yourself back in. Same way as you went out. Easing back. Yeah. So I hope you felt some calm in the process. That was a classic kind of breathing meditation. It's a really nice one to start with if you're new to meditation. Next week we'll be doing more of a present awareness one with some mantras, which can really help with a monkey mind. So I'll be explaining that. And I apologize for the beginning. That was technical difficulties from my end. So that'll all be up and running on time next week. So thank you so much for coming, for joining in. Yeah, just remember those things. You can take them with you. Just remember that your breath follows your mind and your mind follows your breath. So if you find yourself getting a little bit anxious, especially if you're reading too much news, I was guilty of that a week ago. I'm trying to pull back. But yeah, just try and really lengthen your breaths. And also if you have trouble sleeping, it's a really nice thing to do as you're nodding off. If you kind of wake up in the night as well and you kind of need to get back into that really nice kind of cruisy state, just do that with the breath, just counting in for a number and out for a longer number so you can slow everything down. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope to see you all again next week. Take care. Bye. Stay well.